All right. Hello and welcome back to the Self Achievement Network. My name is Dominic, and I am here today with Sheryl Rhoades. She is our person behind the passion for this episode. Hello, Sheryl.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I feel like I'm just like getting back into the swing of things here in the Self Achievement Network. I haven't
Mhm.
done a person behind the passion interview for quite a while, actually. So thank you for being our pick of the week.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know we talked about this like way back in the day, but we never just got around to it. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do, folks, is I'm going to have a little interview, question and answer with Sheryl. Her passion is really about branding, marketing, branding, not really marketing, right? It's more like digital brand.
Yeah.
And I'll let you explain what that is in a minute. Um, and so she's been doing this for a while. I met her back in, I was thinking about it just a few minutes ago. I think it was 2013.
Wow. Has it been that long?
Yeah, maybe it was 14. We had a common employer, and that's how we met. And then after my contract was up, I believe you were still working with them. I don't know.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Then I reached out to her because I was wanting some support with some projects that I was working on. My program called Life Plan is a digital download, and it's a fillable PDF.
Hmm.
And at that time, I knew what I wanted, but I knew that she was the one that could help me with that. So that's how we kind of got connected. And so, but anyway, so give us a little short background about you. You're in Vegas right now. No, you're in, I forgot,
Henderson.
Henderson, Nevada,
Yeah.
which is very close to Las Vegas.
Yes.
I'm here on the very far west suburbs of Chicago in a little town called St. Charles, Illinois. Overcast today, and there's still snow on the ground from a couple of weeks ago. We had a snowstorm. It got down to in the negative like 12, 14 degrees. It was chilly. Not as cold, not as warm, of course, as it is in the Vegas area. So
Yeah, you could probably see like the sun rays are coming through the window. So that's what I love about living in the desert is, it gets really cold at night sometimes, but the sun is always shining and it's just so beautiful and warm and it just makes me feel good. I'm a sun goddess.
it's awesome. So digital brand expert.
Hmm.
Oh, that's like, whoa.
I know. Yeah, I mean I started out I have a bachelor's degree in graphic design and so I started out as a graphic designer just doing anything graphic design and as I've evolved and worked for clients and really niched down I turned into a brand expert and what a brand expert does is they help people bring their visions to life, so if you have a dream or an idea you give it to me and I help you create that visual story behind it so that it makes sense and it resonates with your audience. So it's really like going to Macy's and picking out that really nice suit that goes together with all the accessories. That's what I do for your business.
Hmm. I was looking at your website because I wanted to get a little more in-depth understanding of you and where you're at and what you're doing. And I saw that you also do book covers.
Yeah. Yes, I've done quite a bit. I have like really good book covers. I have bestsellers. My artwork has been like in windows, like bookstore windows featured. So yeah, that's really exciting.
I know. I think you know about this book, but I designed this book cover.
And
So
see, it matches all of the rest of your PDFs and stuff. So you're a self-branded master.
I didn't know what to do, and then it just popped into my head. You know how it is. People probably say that all the time, but this is Manager Hacker: How to Stop Getting Screwed Over by a Shitty Boss.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's like timeless material, right? Because there's still, so many shitty bosses out there and people need help. They need you. So I'm glad you're back.
There are. So a lot of people are like, well, what is that thing on the front? And do you know what that is? You know what that is?
It looks like a detective.
It is. It's actually called a sleuth.
Okay.
And a sleuth is someone that kind of operates below the radar. And
Oh,
they're
I
always
see.
observing, observing, observing. And that's exactly what this book is about. Because some
Okay.
people they're tenured into their job. They just can't quit. I mean, they could,
Yes.
but they don't want to. And you've heard the
Mhm.
saying, people don't leave their job, they leave their bosses.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true. It's all about culture right now too. So I do a lot of that as well as, a brand expert. I work with a lot of instructional design companies, companies that work with culture and bringing inclusiveness to their companies, to their businesses, so that it is a better workplace, and they're not leaving their managers because their managers are actually strengthen into becoming really good leaders, so that that's going to happen less and less. The discrimination, the bullying, all of these things that happen negatively in the workplace. So it's great to be part of that on the back end. So I'm kind of like your sleuth, but a lot more pretty.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he's not real pretty. He doesn't even have eyes and a nose, but it's supposed to be that way. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So that reminds me of like a secret shopper, right? So a lot of companies that are trying to improve on guest service or customer service, they hire secret shoppers that come in and they do transactions, and then they rate the staff member or team member, employee, however you want to refer to them. They rate them on guest service, if they acknowledge them, if they answered questions. So they actually have secret shoppers to see how their employees are doing.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right, exactly. So that's great. Well, listen, this is a person behind the passion interview.
Hmm.
Is not just all about your career path and how you
Sure.
chose the career path. I'm going to ask you some questions about your past. I read that you grew up on a farm.
Yes.
But before I ask you that question, tell us about how you, like, say you got a bachelor's degree in graphic design.
Hmm.
So, I mean, was there like some, the clouds opened up and, it was like graphic design, or was it something that you were really into, or was all about that you needed to make money? I mean, what was it all? What was behind the after that?
Yeah. So what happened was, well, growing up on a farm, you don't have a lot of toys and stuff, and you're kind of just poor, and your friends are animals, and you do a lot of, hard work and growing gardens and things like that. But what you do have access to is like crayons and pencils and paintbrushes. So I've always been like a creative person, drawing, painting, especially scenery and things like that around me. So it's just in my DNA to be super creative. And when I grew up, unfortunately, I had to, get a job in the real world. And so I ended up in the financial industry. And so, I went from, doing accounting for HOAs to working at banks to doing from loan departments and things like that. So I learned a lot about office work and how, to use all of like the Microsoft programs and things like that. You become like an expert because of your job behind a desk and, using Excel and spreadsheets and things like that. And in 2009, when we had the huge market bubble explosion, I was actually working for a bank here in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, and the men in black came in one day and closed us down. So you have like a solid job, benefits, a paycheck every week, it was actually a really great place to work. To the FDIC coming in and saying, you're out of business, like, you have no money, like nothing.
Wow.
They didn't even sell our bank off. They closed it down and sold all of the assets. So I found myself without a job, and I thought, if if you have a stable job, what you think is stable, right? And you're happy to stay there because you're making money and you think that you're on the right path and everything is good. And then all of a sudden you're out of a job with no fault of your own. Then you start thinking like, well, where can I find more security? What, if a bank isn't secure, then what is secure? And I'm at a pivotal point in my life. Like, what should I do? So I decided to take the reins in my own hand, and I went to an educational conference that they had set up here, and I looked at schools to see, what I should do, where I should go, and then I had the opportunity to, get into graphic design. And here in Las Vegas at that time, if you didn't have a degree, you were not hireable as a graphic design person, because all the requirements are like, you have to have a degree, you have to have experience, all of these things. So I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna get my degree. So that probably was the most stressful 4 years of my life, because I was working full time as an accountant for an HOA company, and that's just stressful in and of itself. Then commuting, going to school every night, and then doing assignments all weekend. Like, it was just super exhausting, but well worth it. I think it was the best decision I ever made.
That's awesome. So then you shifted your accounting stuff to graphic design, to graphic.
Yep. Yeah.
And so you finished the school? Okay. And then, well, before we met, you had to be doing something.
Yes. Yeah, I was doing graphic design for several companies. Well, not several, that's not a true statement, but a few companies. I did graphic design for them. And then I started working for the company where I met you, and doing their graphic design for them. So I was lead of their graphic design department, creating all of the items that you were teaching and presenting for them. So I was the person in the background making everything amazing for you to do.
And I knew that, and I was always so impressed with all the stuff that I was presenting. I never once was like, "Ooh, I don't want to show this to somebody." But they were all so dynamic and real, and it's not just the graphics, but the photos. Everything was placed together, I think, beautifully. So
yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. So it's
Yeah.
teamwork. So anyway, yeah. Well, then, so let's go to the farm thing. So you grew up on a farm, like where?
So in New Mexico, out in the middle of nowhere, like between Albuquerque and Belen, New Mexico. So like way out. Going to school was like a 45-minute bus ride to school. Yeah, and home. Like, really, you're not just going to the grocery store. We really grew all of our food. It was pretty remarkable. And so if we went to the grocery store, it was, to buy like a month's worth of things, to use, such as like milk is one thing we didn't produce on our farm, but just like big gallons of flour. We made our own tortillas, bread, things like that. So pretty different lifestyle from now, for sure.
Absolutely. So I can I've heard this from people that I've known that grew up on farms where they're so far away from the town area that they go once every, however many weeks or whatever month, once a month.
Yeah, once a month.
Dry goods and canned goods and things like that. And so it was 45-minute one way to get to school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super crazy.
And so then what kind of a farm was it? Was it dairy?
So we had an acre and a half of crops. So, and then we would harvest them and have like a roadside, fruit and vegetable stand that we would sell them to make extra money. And then we also had animals. So we raised a lot of our own meat, different, geese, turkeys, rabbits, goats, things like that. So, and in New Mexico, we were the minority because we lived near other farmers, but they were all, Mexican families. And so we learned a lot. Like, we learned how to make really good Mexican food, and have a matanza, a party with like a goat or a pig in the ground, and you cook it for 24 hours on hot coals under the dirt. Like just really neat, like cultural things that you don't see anymore, or maybe you do there. I haven't been back there in such a long time, but just something that really creates these memories from your childhood that you never forget.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's so really so amazing because
Yeah, I
you're the
like
only one that I've ever
it.
met that actually grew up on that kind of on a
Yeah.
farm. So you had animals, and so then they were like, I mean, I don't know, back then, was it all about organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef kind of thing, or was it more of a production type?
So it was like, as I don't understand exactly what I'm not sure how to answer you.
Well, okay, so like I know that the whole organic movement has gone crazy.
Oh
So
yeah.
everybody, like we have stores up here that are like all organic, and the people are looking for organically fed, animals.
Yes, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah. So instead of them going and animals being put through the grain trough,
I
they're
get you.
out eating grass.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, all natural. Back then it wasn't really a thing. Like they didn't have the GMO, or at least we didn't have access to it. And everything, even our pest control was, really natural as far as hatching and releasing ladybugs, to control bug infestations of the crops, and praying mantises and things like that. Just trying to keep everything as natural as possible, and then growing fields of wheat, in the winter to keep the ground going, and then turning it into alfalfa in the spring for the cows to eat on and stuff. So yeah, just pretty neat, pretty different growing up for sure.
You definitely know your stuff. I mean, if you ever got tired of doing branding, you could go back to being a farming consultant.
Yeah, not in the desert though. I mean, you can grow some things grow good here, but it just takes so much water and the sun. It just really beats stuff up. Like it's really hard to,
Yeah,
do agriculture here
yeah,
where I'm at right now.
yeah. Well, that's such a like night and day thing. I mean, going from such a natural environment to the electronic world, and
Hmm.
like I'm just always curious. So crayons and pencils and paper, and I mean, you were doing like graffiti on the side of the barn and stuff.
No, but I did paint a whole lot of rocks, that's for sure. You could probably walk around Belen out in the middle of nowhere and find some painted rocks out there.
Yeah.
They're my
Wow.
own hieroglyphs or whatever.
That's amazing. Take us through what it would be like. So let's say, I called you. I obviously didn't have you do the cover of my book, but I had, you know, you do the PDF thing with, and then my website too. You put together the
Yeah.
website.
Uh-huh.
So just out of curiosity, what's sort of the flow of, somebody calls you and then you say, okay, and then they're like, you have a conversation, okay, you're hired. What happens next?
Yeah. So then next, they always want to know what the quote is, right? Like, some people are even intimidated when they go to my website, like, oh, I don't know, we don't think we can afford you. But my answer is always like, I think you can't afford not to hire me, right? If you want the results that you need to get nowadays online, like you need to hire me. And like the cliche, don't judge my book by my cover, because who knows what you need, and who knows what your budget is, and who knows what I'm going to charge you for that expertise.
Mhm.
But yeah, so first is, they want to talk to me. I want to talk to them first of all, because I want to know if it's something that I even want to work on. So when I first started, I was like so desperate, taking bids on Thumbtack. Like I was just taking every bit of work I could, because I was so afraid, like, I'm going to be homeless on the street. Like I'm not going to make it. You just have these fears when you're going out from a job to entrepreneurship.
Right.
So and then maybe this doesn't happen to everybody, but I feel like it does. Like you have imposter syndrome. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I need to take on everything. You feel desperate and scared. And I'm not in that boat anymore. Luckily, I learned that, if I really manifest it and really deliver quality products, that I'm not ever going to be in that boat, because my clients refer me, they recommend me, they always keep coming back for more work. And it's just this really like full circle of growth and abundance. So it's really how I like to work. But the process is that I have a discussion with you to see what you're looking to achieve, if I'm a good fit for you, if you're a good fit for me, what the best rollout is, because there's not a one size fits all in this business, because everybody is different. And if you look at my website, like everything that I have branded and done is entirely different. There's no two pieces the same, because I have no two clients that are the same. Your visions, your goals, your story, your statement, what you're trying to achieve, it's all different. And your brand has to represent you. And so from that part, we talk about it. Like, what are these ideas, concepts? What are you trying to reach? And then I tell them what I believe they need to achieve their goals and be successful. And then they say, great, send me a quote, like, we want to hire you. And that's how it goes from there. And then I give them like a breakdown. I'm going to deliver this, this, and this. And, if somebody wants like an entire brand package, for example, in our discussion, I'll talk to them about, is there a color that you like, or is there a color you don't like? Because if you deliver the most remarkable brand in the world, but it has one color that person hates, like with a passion, they will hate the whole brand, no matter how amazing it looks, because they can't see past the color and how it makes them feel. And color really affects people. It affects your buying decisions. It affects your mood. It affects you if you're hungry. So you, as a brand expert, you have to know these things, and you have to know what colors set people off or cause them to, engage with you. And so that's always my first rule, is find out what they don't like. Even in imagery, like some people, I worked with one client and she's like, I do not like hot pink. I don't like the neon greens. Like, please never deliver anything to me that has any kind of neon or hotness to it. I like very cool colors. She was very like adamant about that. So if I hadn't have had that conversation with her, and I would have like thrown hot pink in her element, like she would have like flipped out, like, no, you're a terrible designer. I hate this. I'm not hiring you. So I have a lot of key questions in the design brief, so that I know I'm on the right path with you. And then ultimately I take one of their favorite colors. So if I'm like, do you like blue, for example? And they say, yes, I love blue. I use it all the time. So I don't ever let them pick the exact color, because I know if you need a warm blue, a cool blue, a deep blue, based on what your business is. And then I pick the blue colors. I pick all of the colors, and then I give them 3 color palette options that work with their business. And then I give them 3 logo options that work with their business as well. And then we narrow it down from there. And I always tell them, be very honest with your feedback. Like, if there's something you love about it, if there's something you hate about it, like, I need to know, because otherwise I can't narrow down the vision if I can't see what you are seeing or how you're feeling about something. Right. And so it actually works out really, really good. And they end up getting, even more than what they expected. I just launched a website yesterday for a company, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe how beautiful this is. Like, we weren't expecting it to be this amazing. I'm like, well, that's what I do. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm. And so how many years have you been doing this?
Well, I graduated in 2013. So I started my degree in 2009 and went through accelerated. I graduated in 3.5 years after. So I didn't have to go quite the 4 years, but it's a 4-year degree. And I started like just doing freelance stuff, while I was in school, just picking up little things to get my feet wet and really figure it out. But I'm a technology immigrant, so I didn't grow up with technology. I ended up using technology later in life, in corporate jobs,
Mhm.
and just figuring that it was like so easy for me to figure it out, just a natural problem solver. So I could look at something on a computer and automatically know how to do it. Just came just so easy. Luckily, I didn't have to have any growth pains doing that. But yeah, so it's just, I mean, you can do whatever you want, right? If you just set your mind to it and you think like, what am I good at? Um, if you're a creative person, it doesn't matter if it's on physical paper, a paintbrush, or digital, it's still creative. It's still the same mentality. You're still using that creative part of your brain to
Mhm.
achieve it.
I totally understand. I'm looking for a place where I can type in, and just give me a second here to type in your website. It's Sheryl Rhoades,
Dot com. Uh-huh.
SHERylRhoades.com.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think I don't have the place to type it in right here off this for some reason. Anyway, I'll figure it out, but we can always post it later in the after this live posts in the different platforms. So, well, that's great. I mean, you've been busy, obviously. So, where do you see yourself in the next couple, 3, 5, even 10 years?
I think really the end goal in 10 years would be to have a really large design firm. And I don't know like how large that would be, but something where I'm just getting the clients, I'm doing the brief, and then I'm handing some work off to, other designers to do the work so that I can scale. Because right now, it's just me. I mean, I have a part-time designer that I hire to work with me, but you can't like scale yourself when you're doing hour for hour. So I've actually been dabbling in other things. I started an Etsy account. So I just have recently, I mean, I created it over a year ago, but I never did anything with it. And this year I'm like, I'm going to like make the effort because I know that people who have financial abundance, they have more than one business going, right? They have like 7 avenues of income. So I'm really working on that on my Etsy account. I have 5 sales so far. Yay. You may not think it's a lot, but it actually is a lot when you think of how big Etsy is. And I don't have it on Instagram and I'm not
Mhm.
promoting it. So once I get there, then those sales are really going to start, spiking. I want to, just be able to hand off work to designers that I trust, and then I think everything has to just come back, to me to just do the final review and just make sure, that it meets the standards. Because I don't ever want to deliver anything that's not high quality. I just can't, it goes against me.
Good.
But yeah, in 10 years, I see that I have maybe 3 full-time designers and then bringing in, 3 times the amount of work that I can do, one-on-one right now. And then really niching down. So last year was really a big eye opener for me. I had the privilege of working with a really high end client, Todd Chef English, Todd Chef Todd
Oh,
English, sorry,
yeah,
celebrity chef,
absolutely.
and it would just it just made me like step back, like wow, I have really made such an impression on my clients and people around me that they would actually refer me to work with somebody of his caliber. And the sky is really the limit. And I don't pay for marketing for myself. So all of my business has came from referrals and word of mouth and just keeping happy clients and delivering quality work, and people remember you. So the person that actually referred me to start doing designs for Todd English is a client that the last time I did work for them was like 2017. but they remembered me, and they're like, they were doing some work related with him, and they're like, if you need to get this stuff done, you need to hire her. And then that's how it started. So so you never know, like you always have to deliver your best. It's better to have people wait a little bit longer and get the best quality possible than just rush through and deliver half-assed stuff. It's just not worth it.
Right. So quality is queen, huh?
Yeah. So I really want to niche down. So going back to the tenure, I'm really niching down into the brand expert. I do want to start working with more celebrity chefs. It's actually super rewarding. Um, and it's amazing how I can help them take a concept of a restaurant idea and bring it to life, and combining restaurants and creating that story so that it's a successful business.
Hmm. And let me ask you a question. I think I read somewhere on your website that branding is not really marketing.
No.
Can you kind of explain the difference? What is the what's that? What does that mean? That it's not the same?
Yeah.
Because I mean, in my mind, it's like it is, but I don't know because I'm not an expert.
Yeah. Yeah. So marketing is actually telling the story about you online and engaging and connecting with an audience. So they will buy from you. They need your services, and then marketing connects the message, like, we provide these services, you need these services, here you go, right? So marketing is the commercials when you're driving in your car and you're like, oh, are you hungry? Have a tasty Big Mac or whatever. That's marketing, because you're driving and you're like, well, actually, I am kind of snacky. And so you're like, oh, there's a McDonald's there. Let me drive in and get a Big Mac. So that's how marketing reaches you. But branding is, and staying with McDonald's, is the golden arches, right? And the bright red sign and the Ronald McDonald Foundation, all of those things, that is their brand and their voice and their messaging. Marketing is how you get that physical brand to the audience so that they purchase from you, so they engage with you.
Interesting, and that does make sense because a logo is not really marketing. However, I guess it would be a little bit of the marketing. I mean, because I mean, branding, yeah, but is it not marketing a little bit?
Well, it's your identity, right? So if you change your logo frequently and you change your colors frequently, nobody can identify with you. So you have to keep your same look throughout. Like, all of your social media channels should match so that marketing actually works, because when they see your logo, they remember you. But if you change your logo and you see the marketing, they can't always come back to you because it doesn't tie in together. So
Mhm.
you have to use them both together. So successful branding, is the beginning of establishing you as a very professional business that has your stuff together. That's, in fact, one of the testimonials on my website is that I took this company, brand new idea for a technical company, and I made them look like they had been in business for several years. They did not look like a brand new company with no clients, or anything. And that's what branding does. It makes you show up as an expert, and then marketing gets your message out to your audience.
Mhm. My wheels are turning because I'm thinking, would it be nice for those of you who are watching or listening to have Sheryl give us a little branding 101, kind of a little webinar or whatever?
Yeah, I would
And
be glad to.
that I'm totally up for it. Anytime you want, you just put it on the calendar and I'll be your host.
Okay, that
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done training classes before, so yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah, I just actually was talking to someone before I came on live here, and she's in Europe, and she's like, I'm like, I have to go because I have to go live. And she goes, "Who's your guest?" And I was like, kind of tell her, "Oh, I need that so bad."
Oh, okay.
There are a
Yeah.
lot of those people out there,
Hmm.
a lot.
Yeah, a
Absolutely.
lot of people, they do. They need that help. And then it amazes me when reconnect with people, and they're like, oh, I just rolled out a new brand and a website. And I'm like, well, why didn't you think of me? And they're like, oh, I mean, a lot of times they do think of me, but then they're like, oh, we didn't know you did all of that stuff too,
Right.
So yeah.
I wish I would have thought to pull down some of your graphics. I don't have them in front of me. Um, I'll put the website in later so people can go and click on it, right? And they can see some of your work. Let's shift it. So, person behind the passion. So, you talked about your farm and your connection with animals, and I know
Yeah.
that you are all about birds.
Yes.
And you have, well, I'll let you tell the story. So you kind of have done rescuing of birds,
Mhm.
and then you house them. And I think you told me the other day you had at one point 200 birds or 100 birds, something like that.
Yeah, over one season, 100 rescue birds. Like,
My
if you
gosh.
see my phone, I have like 7,000 pictures on my phone, and it's like 90% of those photos are all birds, just baby birds, rescue birds, injured birds, you name it. It's all
So,
birds.
so give us a once upon a time story. Once upon a time I was, and then this happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been close with the animals. My dream growing up as a girl was, being like Ellie on the uh,
Ellie
oh, what
Mae,
is that? Huh?
Ellie Mae
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
Beverly
on
Hillbillies.
huh?
From the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes, yes.
Oh
I
wow.
always wanted to be her, like surrounded with animals. And I was like, it would be so cool to walk around with a monkey, all of these things. And then just having this trail of animals following around. So I've always been in touch with nature and animals on like a higher level than most people. And one day it just all kind of like happened. I moved to Boulder City, and behind my house was desert and a lot of birds and wildlife. And all of the scraps from my kitchen, like salads and things like that, I would take out to the desert to feed the birds and the quail and things like that. And one morning, it was the weirdest thing. It was on Mother's Day, no less. Um, I was feeding the birds, and I turned around, and there was a little baby bird like flapping its wing. It had gotten separated from its parents, and it just let me like swoop it up. And so I swooped it up and I took it in my house and I started feeding it, and it started flying around the house and just living there, just living in my house. Like, it was just so cool. And then I wasn't familiar with that species of bird at that time, but it was a European starling. And I don't know if you're familiar with European starlings, but they're such an amazing bird. Like, they're so intelligent, and they can speak fluently, and they love people. Like, they're one of the birds that are they're really hated in the world because they came from Europe. I mean, hence the name European starling. Um, but they're so remarkable. Like, they just love people, and they can mimic you. They can say words like really clearly and speak really fluently, better than any parrot, hands down, like super, super articulate. And then they mix words, so they create new sentences. So it's really fun. It's a lot of fun. Um,
Wow.
Anyways, I had this little rescue bird, and it just triggered that childhood in me, like raising little ducks and little chickens. And I'm like, dang, this is so cool. Like, what? I should just start doing this again. And then it just, once you say something to the universe listens. Be careful what you ask for. Then all these birds just start falling in your lap, like all these calls, like, hey, there's a bird in the road, or hey, random people just knocking on my door, bringing me like, here's a little bird, here's a nest full of birds. So it just grows. But yeah, a lot of fun. Currently I have 4 forever rescue birds because they were not releasable. I mean, one of them is a European starling, so it wasn't releasable because I wasn't willing to release it because I just love them. But the other 3 couldn't be released. But my main passion in that is just the time with them and watching them grow, and then teaching them to be releasable, rehabbing them and release them. You can't, it's a process. You can't just open your door and throw them out and be like, here you go, be
Yeah, I was
free,
wondering,
fly
if you
away.
had that many birds, I mean, you have to release them in an environment that they can thrive, right?
Yes. Yeah, you can't. A lot of birds, weren't releasable even in Boulder City because there's not a food supply for them. So
Mhm.
so that was always a challenge as well, finding a foster house that could keep them for a few days and do a soft release, take them out in their yard in a cage, let them get familiar with the neighborhood birds, see where the trees are, what they need to do, and then, release them after a few days of this process. So yeah, it's a huge process of the rehab and releasing of the birds.
You are a kind-hearted soul.
Thank you.
That is, I mean, something that's really in my world is very rare. I mean, I don't know anybody. You're the only one that I know that's ever done that, and that's something very special.
Thank you.
So, yeah, well, that's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I really love it. I sometimes can't even find time to work, like in the spring. It's really hard, to take on projects because I have like a flood of birds coming on. But this year, I actually have a couple of people that I'm working with that do rescue, so they have taken a lot of that overflow from me, and so I'm not going to do as many bird rescues this year. Maybe next year, but this year I'm really working on a few things. One is, being, financially wealthy, and so I just finished a financial master class with Audrey Faust, and she's just amazing. And I've learned so many things from her, and really just building a relationship with money, and how to, and a blueprint, like how to, diagnose your spending problems, where your money's going, wiping out bad debt, and um, getting good debt. There is such a thing as good debt, so you can use it for investing power or leveraging. And so,
Collateral.
I would recommend, if anybody's struggling, or if you want to learn how to safely invest money for your future, like, reach out to her. She's just remarkable. I mean, that 10-week class it was incredible. I would recommend anybody to take it. And then, my best friend, Susan Gaddy, she has helped me grow into the brand expert and everything that I'm doing now. Like, she's just reached my life and encouraged me so much to grow. And even, every my pricing, where I establish myself. And then we work together now on helping develop programs for companies for that inclusive training and cultures, like all of this. So it helps to have like really positive professional experts in your, in your circle, right? In your friend
Mhm.
circle, to encourage you and grow with you. And is just, I recommend it.
Absolutely. That's great. And I think that you're right. This whole thing with money is such a big issue with so many people. And
Yeah.
to sit down and take a look at the relationship that we have with money is really a smart thing to do, because we don't even know,
Mhm.
what we're doing. And in the conversation, I always say, the conversation creates everything, because I just did a little video the other day about talking about the genie. I don't know if
Mm,
you saw that
I
video.
know, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a metaphor, of course, but the genie's job is to just grant our wishes,
Mhm.
is to manifest what we ask it to do. And if we're talking to ourselves about, I'm not good at making money, and I don't have enough clients, and this is never going to work, and blah, 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 it's
Mhm.
like usually the secret conversation below the smiley face head. Yeah, I'm doing great, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the genie will create all those negative things in addition to the positive things. So we have to be
Yeah.
careful about the way that we hold our relationship with money.
Yeah, and that's like one of the big reasons why I'm not going to take on so much bird rescue, because I am really focusing on the financial aspect and everything I learned from that 10-week class. And if I get derailed by having 100 birds that take so much time. They really do. I mean, I love them. I want to help them. But this year I need to be set up so that I'm in a better place to help them, in the future. So it kind
Mhm.
of goes full circle. And you have to be careful what you ask for the universe, because you're like, I want to rescue birds. And then, the sky is open and literally the birds are falling from the heavens. They're just stacking up. Like every bedroom, I'm not kidding you, there was like baskets of baby birds and consolidating them together. If you're a baby bird about the same size, like you're in a basket together. I have, sparrows and finches and other little tiny birds together, and then mockingbirds and robins and, so many, just like chaos. Like you're up at 4 a.m. and you're like, you know, feeding the little birds with a toothpick and special food. I mean,
So
it's so much.
you
And
earn
just,
did you earn a reputation of being the bird woman from Alcatraz?
no, the crazy bird lady, like really, like I would be out because I released a lot of birds in my neighborhood. So I would literally be outside talking to my birds, and people would be like, "Oh, there's that crazy bird lady." But they become like your children. They recognize you and they come up to you. They don't come up to other people, but if you're their mom, if you raise them and rescue them, they'll always remember you. Birds remember who you are, your face. So if you do a bird dirty, they will tell everybody in the neighborhood, like, you're a bad guy. You're a bad person.
That's great. So
Yeah.
speaking of moms, you have a family, right? You're a mom, yeah?
Yes, I am. I am a mom. Yep.
That's awesome. And you're also a grandmom?
We don't use the G word. That's a bad word.
That's not
So yeah, we never use that word's banned in this house, because I don't ever want to be old or grow old. So that's, one thing that I manifest to is always this youthful appearance that I have, and the universe is graceful enough to give me that.
absolutely. So what are some of the places that you have been? Have you traveled outside the US?
Only to Mexico.
Uh-huh. Well, Mexico is a great place.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
I've been
pretty
there
dangerous right
many
now,
times.
but yeah, it's fun. If you're
Been there.
feeling risky.
I love it. So if you could go any place in on the planet and hang out there for a couple of weeks, where would you go? Do you have any of those like
um Maybe Italy. I think Italy just seems like so beautiful, and the food. I mean, I've been to Hawaii, but that's the United States. But it feels like it's not, right. It feels like when you
Mhm.
travel over there and you're hanging out on the beach, like you're in a different world. So, but yeah, Italy is always like very attractive to me. The food, in high school, we actually had an exchange student, a foreign exchange student from Italy. So that was my introduction to that and their food and their culture, like just really beautiful.
Mhm. So your last name Rhodes, that's your maiden name or your
Yep, maiden name.
okay, and what nationality is that?
Well, I know my father was Swedish, so, but I don't know if that's like where the name, transcends from. I've never even looked it up. So,
Interesting. Well, you do look Swedish
and
with your blonde
I
hair,
love meatballs. So there we go. We got the.
right? No, I've been to Italy many times also, and will not be disappointed. Make it a point. Don't wait too long. Go and have a great time. I've got a friend right now in the Amalfi Coast. She's hanging out in that area, and she's posting photos on Facebook.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
So great stuff. So, all right. Well, let me ask you one final question. And first of all, thank you so much for being with me. I mean, I want to have you back. I think that your depth of knowledge is insanely insane. It's great.
Thank you.
And a lot of people would like to hear what you have to say. One of my good friends is into marketing, so I was like thinking maybe he'll watch this and he'll get a little contrasting there about your opinion about marketing and branding. He probably knows that already, whatever. But
Yeah.
anyway, so let's just pretend, okay? Let's think big that
Yeah.
when we get done here, like every person on the planet is going to watch this video.
Yay. Yeah.
Okay, right? So I don't know how many billions of people that is. That's a lot. But if you
Yeah.
had the opportunity to have the attention of all of humanity,
Mhm.
and you can say something to them based on your experience of life and what you know that's going on in the world and all that stuff. It's a big question. What would you say?
Yeah. I would say on a business level, like show up and be the part, like visually be branded. If it's not through me, like somebody who can brand you so that you are true to your business and people will believe in you as an expert. And outside of business, I would say the next time you're outside, listen for bird calls and start identifying birds in your neighborhood. One quick thing I forgot to throw in there. I'm actually writing a book right now too.
I didn't know that. Good
Yeah.
for you.
And it's already written, so I'm designing it. So I already have it completely written and I'm just putting it together. It's going to be a coffee table book. So one of those that you leave out on your coffee table. So when you have company over, they're rummaging through this book. So
Birds, I would guess.
yeah, it's
Bird?
it's a book about birds. Do you want to know the name?
Yes.
All right. It's called Celeb Birdies.
Celebrities.
Yep.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah,
And
it's
congratulations.
gonna be super fun and educational. I really want people, because we're facing the sixth mass extinction right now, and it's birds. Like birds are disappearing from the world. So I wrote this book to connect people with birds, like people are connected with celebrities, and you have your favorite, celebrities and their character personalities. And so what I have done is I have taken personalities of birds and I have aligned them with the personalities of celebrities. So every bird has a celebrity personality. So it's going to be really fun, super beautiful. I'm doing all of the artwork myself, and I'm excited, really excited about that.
Very creative idea.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, good luck with it. And it'll be self-published.
Yes.
Awesome. Very good. And is there a place for people to go and look for that yet or no?
No, not yet. I'm still working on the designs for it. I'm actually, putting all of it together on pages. So yeah, I'm hoping to like block out time to really just start working on it, like this year. I want it to be done, within the next 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah. Great. Well, you have a place to come if you ever want to talk about it and promote it a little bit. I'm here.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely will. I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been 52 and a half minutes. I will say
Wow.
bye for now. It went by fast, didn't it?
Yeah.
It always does. Okay. Thank you all for watching. And thank you so much, Sheryl, for being here and for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate that. And we will schedule another time and have you back.
I can't wait. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody watching this. I hope we've inspired you, and have a wonderful year.
Thank you. Okay. Bye bye for now, everybody. Have fun and stay inspired. Bye bye for now.
Bye.